Peace. Islam. Sheekamauga Alamassee-El. Coming at y'all live. Deep, deep, deep down. Alamassee Arabian country. Deep in the Arabia district. So-called Roberta, so-called Georgia, the Republic. Just standing in front of a historic railroad depot. Of course, you know, a lot of the tracks that originally were here that have been rerouted, and this is a historic site. Check out the caboose, you know, you travel the terrain, you're going to come to a lot of these little towns, and you're going to see, historic railroad depots and things of that nature. They don't have necessarily any tracks running in front of them anymore. Don't get it messed up, man. The railroad system is old. It's old American technology. They have nothing to do. They have nothing to do with the settlement. Any Europeans coming here. This is old American technology. You know, it predates any colonization, anything like that. The expansion, the depth and the expansion of the so-called railroads now, yeah, that's more due to a lot of the industry, but that's old American technology. And if you really Google, if you really do the research, you're gonna find the old style locomotives. They had a lot more. They were really cool designs. They had a lot more Moorish type of structure looking and designs on them and whatnot. So, just wanted to tap in on that as far as the railroads, but also wanted to check out another monument, and they just read it to you guys real quick, kind of do the knowledge on it real quick. Hold on. This is a monument to Colonel Benjamin Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna read the inscription on it. So it says, this is Colonel Benjamin Hawkins, and he was actually so-called George Washington or George Washington, who in real life was more than likely a mulatto or mixed man. The image of him that's put out there now is we already know it's false, man. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. So, but Benjamin Hawkins was when the United States was kind of forming. See, because the main beef was, again, the old nations, the structure of the United States, the current United States is a confederacy. It's always been that way. But the old states were the Barbary states of America. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about the Barbary states, or the Barbary governments that existed in America, you may call them like the five civilized, the so-called Tassalagi, Chickasaw, they call them the Seminole, whatever, Andalusia. Up in Ohio country, you had the Shawnee, you had all these different territories, but they were that's really the old states, the Iroquois, Six Nations, all of that. These are Barbary demonstrations, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about the Barbary demonstrations was we wasn't really too friendly. We wasn't too friendly. If you wasn't on our level, you wasn't on our religious kind of holy level as far as, certain principles of living and things of that nature, and kind of dealing with the Most High rules the kingdom type of demonstration. You didn't really, we weren't too friendly to you. So when they say the Creek Nation, and they say that Colonel Hawkins had to be a so-called Indian agent to the United States, a lot of these people who were they may have been so-called citizens of the newly formed United States. They might have called themselves Christians and whatnot. Well, the interior of the country, old New France, or the old Barbary territories, they weren't too friendly with these people. So a lot of negotiations had to be made. Now, people like Benjamin Hawkins, more than likely, he might have been a mixed person. He might have been from the old Hebraic demonstration of so-called Britain. So he might have been related to that bloodline. So he understood the culture. So people like that, and George Washington, they could move through these territories and do politics with the Barbary, with the Muslims, with the Moors in these territories. But a lot of the people that were under them, who were their workers and their peasant class, of the old Britain and the new United States, we wasn't just allowing them to move freely. So a lot of issues popped up and a lot of conflicts popped up. You know what I'm saying? So he had to send out people like Hawkins to politic with our people and stuff like that. Set up so-called Indian affairs, which was Moorish affairs. You know what I'm saying? So they could eventually get their peasant class out, so they could do their industry thing. And eventually, again, our people ain't going for it. We ain't never went for it. We ain't never been on no assimilation stuff. They always talking about, and best believe it wasn't no so-called the phenotype that they say of the founding fathers. That's not the phenotype of the real founding fathers of the so-called United States. Okay. the original people, they were trying to do industry and keep getting money. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it was about. So they needed their peasant class to be able to go places and be able to do things without us snatching them up. You know what I'm saying? So our people we wasn't really going for it. So they always say they had a plan for civilization, a plan to assimilate the indigenous people or the people who was on the Morris demonstration. We ain't going for it. You know what I'm saying? So they tried all that negotiation. It always resulted in the guns coming out. You know what I mean? Because we just ain't with it. And we, you know what I'm saying? If you look at a lot of the people, the spirit of them, they still ain't with it to this day. And that's why nobody ever likes the American, the real American. Everybody's against the real American because we just ain't going for it, man. You know what I'm saying? If everybody want to turn against God, the real original American ain't never gonna go for it. But anyway, we're gonna read the inscription. So it says, he built the fort which was named in his honor. We're talking about Colonel Benjamin Hawkins. He built the fort which was named in his honor on the Ocmulgee River at Macon, and lived there while the fort was being erected, but his permanent home was at the Creek Agency. His body lies on a bluff overlooking the Flint River, where he lived among the savage tribes, or the Barbary tribes, the savage tribes, for 16 years. A man of letters, a mediator of peace, and faithful unto death. So they gonna call it, and they still, you know what I'm saying, even though they want to be like us and they have to adopt our names, to this day, they ain't never liked us, you know what I'm saying? So they gonna call us the savage tribes, but it's the Barbary tribes, and it's the Moorish tribes, the Muslim tribes, the Islamic tribes, who just wasn't with all the nonsense. If you was out of bounds and you was trying to come around stealing land and prospecting, trying to be corporate and all that, man, we was just gonna put them things on you, man. That's just how it was. That's why they used to call them the savages. It's savage to them because we just don't let them do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's never going down all the way in America. You know, you can do whatever, you can try all that mess and get your little, like I said, you'll make a little bit of ground, but you always gonna have to run into a real one like me at some point. And you always have to pay the piper. This is the land of Barbary, partner. You know what I'm saying? But just want to tap in about Benjamin Hawkins, Colonel Hawkins. More than likely he was of mixed blood, but he was more on the corporate demonstration. He was more friendly to the settlement and everything like that. There's always been a disagreement, but understand, the original Britannic, the British who came here, who did all the deals and set up the colonies, you know what I'm saying, they was either mixed or they was looking like yours truly, you know what I'm saying? Or they might have been a little bit more lighter skin or whatever, but the original head honchos in the so-called United States, they could have been fair skin, light skin, or dark skin, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But we were, a lot of us were related and descended from the same demonstration, but we kind of fell out due to some people wanted industry, some people wanted holy. It is what it is. That's really what the Civil Wars, all these civil wars, the War of 1812 and all that were about. But understand, again, the South, the interior, the Confederacy, the savage tribes are the Barbary tribes. And we're going to do a drop on the Barbary later. But it says it right here, the savage tribes, the Barbary tribes, who would arrest you if you got out of line. They had to go in order for the nonsense to prevail in this land. But best believe, again, the devil loves to plan, but Allah is the best of planner. It's going to get back to the old ways, believe that. But that's peace, just tapping in with y'all deep in Arabia. I'm going to tap back in with y'all later. Peace.